Welcome to Golden Software's demonstration video for Surfer 9 Part 2. In this demonstration, I'll be explaining the different map types available in Surfer. There are 10 map types in Surfer. What type of map you can create depends on the type of data you have. Base maps are created from base map files such as DXF, shape, or image files. Post and classed post maps are based on data files such as text files, CSV files, or Excel spreadsheets. The other 7 map types are based on grid files. Grid files can be created directly in Surfer from XYZ data files by going to the grid data command, or you can obtain grid files from other sources such as downloading them off the internet, like USGS DEM files, or creating them in other software packages such as Esri products. Now I'll create an example of each map type. To create a new base map, go to Map, New, Base Map, select the base map file, and click Open. Base maps display boundaries on a map, such as areas, curves, points, and text to show features such as roads, buildings, streams, city locations, and so on. This particular base map shows the county outlines in the state of California. You can also import an image or georeferenced image, such as an aerial photograph, as a base map. I'll delete this map so I have room for the next map type. I'll simply right-click over it in the Object Manager and go to Delete. Post maps show data locations on a map. To create a post map, go to Map, New, Post Map, select your data file, and click Open. A point will be posted at each XY location in the data file. You have complete control over which columns to use as the X and Y data columns, the symbol size, color, and shape, and you can choose to label the points with the data from the data file. I'll move the map to the left so we can compare a regular post map with a classed post map. Classed post maps are very similar to post maps. They also show data locations on a map, but also allow you to specify classes and change symbol properties for each class. Classes can be saved and loaded for future maps. To create a classed post map, go to Map, New, Classed Post Map. Select the data file and click Open. I'll move the classed post map a little to the right. So you can see that the classed post map puts a symbol at the same location as the regular post map, except for that the symbol properties are now dependent upon a third variable. In this case, the third variable is a z-value. I'll delete both maps by going to Edit, Select All, and then go to Edit, Delete. Now I'll show you some examples of the grid-based maps. The most commonly used grid-based map in Surfer is a contour map. Contour maps are two-dimensional representations of three-dimensional data. To create a contour map, go to Map, New, Contour Map, select the grid file, and click Open. Contours define lines of equal z values across the map extents. The shape of the surface is shown by the contour lines. You have full control over the contour interval, label options, and contour line and fill colors and patterns. I'll move the contour map a little to the left so we can view it alongside some of the other map types. Image maps are raster images based on grid files. To create an image map, go to Map, New, Image Map, select the grid file, and click Open. Image maps assign colors to grid cells based on z-values from the grid file. If you have a relatively low resolution grid file, this can make the map look a little pixely or blocky, as you can see here. In this case, you can double-click on the map, choose to interpolate the pixels, and click OK. Interpolating the pixels will create a much smoother image map. I'll move this map a little to the right on the screen. The next map we'll make is a shaded relief map. Shaded relief maps are also raster images based on grid files, but include a light source. To create a shaded relief map, go to Map, New, Shaded Relief Map, select your grid file, and click Open. Shaded relief maps assign colors based on slope orientation relative to a light source. The light source can be thought of as the sun shining on a topographic surface. I'll delete these maps to make room for the vector map. Again, I'll go to Edit, Select All, and Edit Delete. Vector maps display direction and magnitude data using individually oriented arrows. Vector maps can be created using the information in one grid file or two different grid files, when each grid gives a different component of the vectors. To create a one-grid vector map, go to Map, New, One Grid Vector Map, select your grid file, and click Open. At any grid node on the map, the arrow points in the direction of the steepest descent, and the arrow length is proportional to the slope magnitude. You have full control over the scaling of the vectors, the frequency of the vectors, and you can choose various symbol shapes and color scaling options. Again, I'll delete the vector map so then we can next compare the 3D map types. I'll select the map, right-click, and go to Delete. 3D wireframe maps use lines to represent the 3D shape of a grid file. To create a wireframe map, go to Map, New, 3D Wireframe. Select a grid file and click Open. Wireframes are created by connecting Z values along lines of constant X and Y. The more grid lines the grid file has, the more wire lines will be shown on the map. Blanked areas will be drawn at the base of the map. It is not possible to overlay images on wireframes or to overlay multiple wireframes together. I'll move this map to the left so we can compare it to a 3D surface map. 3D surface maps are fully rendered, colorful 3D representations of a grid file. To create a surface map, go to Map, New, 3D Surface, select your grid file, and click Open. I'll move this a little to the right. The colors, lighting angles, and optional mesh lines can all be customized on a surface map. Multiple 3D surfaces can be layered to create a block diagram, and images can be draped over the 3D surface. This concludes my demonstration of the available map types in Surfer 9.